Hello everyone and welcome. The older I get, the longer the days become, yet the shorter the years are. Darkness encroaches ever faster. And review channels are a staple of YouTube culture. Tech review channels, food review channels, bad movie review channels.
I mean, yeah, I'll give you an honest review of the Leprechaun movies, but just to be sure, I'm gonna watch these movies, I'm gonna get this gold, right?
And also music review channels, something that I'm a bit less familiar with. I am extremely familiar with tech review channels. I love Linus Tech Tips.
On a potato. But very few have the spuds to actually do it. And I know
And I've been watching his videos since I was a little boy with my A+ certification and my little NetSec, my Cisco certs, etc., etc. I'm a network security major, by the way, guys. By the way, just in case you were wondering. That's why I've got all this tech on me. I'm very familiar with Linus Tech Tips, and you know, he's been in some drama. Not sure if you guys are aware of the situation in which he used the hard R.
like I'm not gonna deny that I dropped my fair share of hard R's back then, because we didn't even the term hard R didn't even exist. We didn't think about it, right? And it's funny because to me that doesn't feel like that long ago, but to my kids,
are you talking like N-word hard R?
what? No.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that's how people use that term.
No.
I think
That's
so.
the N-word. What are you guys talking about? Am I mistaken?
I think so.
No, the one with the for mental disability.
I'm pretty sure people use hard R in a very different way than you just used it.
Oh.
He's gone through some ethical drama recently as well, according to this Verge article titled, Linus Sebastian addresses error handling and ethics in a new video. What the f does that mean? Dude.
We believe LTT or LMG is rushing too much to hit arbitrary and largely self-imposed deadlines that are causing frequent and sometimes significant data errors and information errors.
I don't even know, man. I don't even know. They paused their posting due to allegations of theft, ethical missteps, and sexual harassment. Wow, that's not good. I refuse to elaborate or dig any deeper because it seems like they're doing just fine. Their channel seems to be screaming along. I remember there was some I forget, it doesn't matter. The point is, review channels stick their necks out. They stick themselves out into oncoming traffic like this. Their necks are do an edit of me getting my head chopped off because that would be really funny, and I could watch it and sort of, you know, use empathy and feel what that would feel like, and then maybe feel good. Back to music reviews, because that's what the f we're talking about today, big sis and little bro. It is easy enough for me to listen to the intro to a song and then determine whether or not I would like to listen further based on that little snippet in the very beginning. I love a range of different music, and people love to give their opinions on music in general, and there is one guy, YouTube's busiest music review nerd. His name is Anthony Fontano, and his channel is called The Needle Drop.
Hi everyone, Dothany Ray, Thany, Meethany, Fan, Fontano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this 21 Savage album, American Dream.
And I've been watching his videos for a really long time. You're one of my elite employees. Or whatever. For me, I don't really need someone else to review the music that I like listening to, but I do like watching this guy who reviews all sorts of shit, review stuff that I specifically like. For example, Sturgill Simpson.
Hey everyone, Anthony Fontano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Sturgill Simpson album, A Sailor's Guide to Earth.
He's got some good stuff. He makes good videos. This guy makes pretty solid content.
It's time for a review of this new album from Andre 3000, New Blue Sun. This is a new LP from enigmatic rapper, singer, producer, flautist, Andre 3000, at one time known for being one half of the legendary hip-hop duo Outkast.
Being a review channel and someone who, you know, makes hard-hitting statements on something as subjective and beloved as music, he's got a lot of haters, to be honest. And recently, he poked the bee's nest that is the lovers of Kanye West. Are you aware of Kanye West?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Did you know that he's an anti-Semite?
Yet another controversy for Kanye West, also known as Ye. He's been locked out of his Twitter account now, the platform suspending him after an anti-Semitic tweet. That tweet said, quote, "When I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people." His tweet continued saying, quote, funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew.
And I'm Semitic, by the way. 7% Lebanese, okay? I think that means I'm technically Semitic. I'm not a huge fan of Kanye West. Anti-Semitism aside.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
I'm not a gigantic, rabid fan of his music, and I'm not a gigantic, rabid fan of the needle drop and the things that he has to say, so I'm the perfect, unbiased party to parse through the drama that has occurred in regard to Anthony Fantano, the world's busiest music dork, or whatever his name is.
Hi everyone, Toothany Brushtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd.
Anthony looks a bit like Humpty Dumpty. That's what a lot of people say. He's been bald for a long time. He actually looks just like my old YouTube compadre, the Swollen Gamer. Cannot tell me that these two men are not related. By the way, Safe, I miss you, brother. I fucking love the Swollen Gamer. You may have seen a clip from everyone's favorite kick streamer, XQC, reacting to Anthony's bad take.
Guys, if you're gonna hold more high ground on things people say, right? Then if this guy's gonna do this shit, he shouldn't review almost any music he does review. Most of the music he reviews are for people who talk about drugs and killing and violence, and no.
You may have seen a large amount of ire drawn from the internet at large to this man, and that is because he took on Kanye's newest album, Vultures 1, and he called the album unreviewable, much to the dismay of many people. Now, why is this a problem? Why can't the man just review and not review whatever he wants? Well, there's a lot of opinions that people have, and firstly, we'll go through his review, just to get some context as to why people are so upset. Just in case you live under a rock in Bikini Bottom and your name is Patrick Starr, Kanye finally dropped his newest album titled Vultures Volume 1. It was long awaited. Apparently, it was after the one called Donder and Jesus is King. Overall, a lot of people were enjoying Kanye's music. It was charting #1 above a bunch of other artists that I really don't know who they are, but it was charting. It was doing pretty well. Anthony, while all these Kanye fans are enjoying dancing to themselves, listening to Poop Diddy Scoop, De Whoop De Pooped Scoop.
Poop Diddy Scoop. Scoop Diddy Whoop. Whoop de scoop de poop.
He was furious that Kanye dare upload any music.
Even if he does genuinely apologize and change his behavior past this point, his public image is forever altered by all of this. I mean, you platformed a booger-eating white supremacist and have guys like this repping for you on a highway overpass.
How could he? He needs to be locked up in a mental asylum because he is an insane guy, and he's got bipolar, and he's also an Semite. Anthony Fantano decided to review it as he does on his channel. It's a wild review. Honestly, it's a fairly wild review.
There was so little to praise with this record.
He's very, very gumpy. You can tell he's so fucking gumpy. Look at this guy. Really? You are actually going to be making music again? Really? He starts off by saying this album is unreviewable trash, which is a bold claim. The intro goes so hard.
This is completely unreviewable trash, and here's why.
This is completely unreviewable trash, and here's why. I mean, he is just posturing himself to get a lot of hate. Like, realistically speaking, he is just like, this is unreviewable trash, and here's why. I don't even like Kanye, and that pissed me off. That must be a crazy fucking bad album to be unreviewable trash. He then elaborates on the purpose of his music reviews. He claims to show why a viewer can like or dislike music.
I can say, at least in terms of my own intent, that when I do a music review, I hope to achieve a couple of things. One, give the viewer pause and cause them to think about why it is they do or don't like the piece of music or art that I'm doing an overview of. Or two, excite people to give the music that I'm talking about a try. Those are the two things I want to do.
Basically, Anthony's point is it's not possible for him to will anyone into listening to this album under any circumstances, under any scenario, because he's an anti-Semite.
Problem, neither of those goals are possible in any scenario that involves reviewing this album.
The stuff with Alex Jones.
That's right. You're not Hitler. You're not a Nazi. You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
I see good things about Hitler also. The Jew, I love everyone. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table.
especially Hitler.
The Hitler comment, very popular comment he made recently, I think.
Newsflash, since 2022, Kanye has made it his mission to go full-on anti-Semite, spouting insane conspiracy theories, talking about how he loves Hitler, and at some point, I think he realized how much he up with all of that. So now he has to own this total dumpster fire he's created and boast about how people think he's anti-Semitic now, because yeah, they do.
He also treats and parades his wife around like an object, which, I mean, you know, that happens a lot, unfortunately, but with him specifically, it's just kind of doubly bad because of his anti-Semitism.
But he spent this same period of time pushing away anybody who could possibly do that at this point, especially his wife, who he has now replaced with somebody who he just like kind of parades around like she's a naked body with no personality, opinion, or voice. Something that on some level I think he's weirdly proud of, as on the very lyrics to this record, he calls her just a reference, which is maybe one of the grossest and most dehumanizing things Kanye has said about a woman on any of his songs, and it's being directed at his wife.
So brother makes a couple really good points as to why Kanye is a bad person. I don't think anyone's arguing that Kanye is not a bad person, and if they are arguing that he's not a bad person, they probably are not that good in and of themselves. And he would agree. Because he calls out everyone who likes Kanye music. He basically is like, okay, if you like any of Kanye's music at all after this point, you are one of three types of people.
So this trajectory Kanye has been on as of late has left him with an interesting mix of fans. One, hateful psychos that actually agree with some of the stuff that he's been saying and are actually in my Twitter mentions theorizing that I'm a Jew, and that's the reason I don't really like his recent music. Two, anonymous nihilistic teenagers that don't really think anything he says or does has any greater consequence in the world, and are most likely bored and lonely and will just defend Kanye because watching him unravel is more entertaining than most things, and I guess brings some kind of meaning to their otherwise meaningless lives. And three, cultish weirdos who parasocially obsess over him and everything he does, and would basically follow him to the ends of the earth.
All fair points about Kanye being bad, but lumping everyone who listens to Kanye's music into these categories, probably not a good idea. I have a few friends who are not anti-Semites who do not give a about what Kanye's doing, and they just like to listen to music, and beyond that they do not care. Separating the art from the artist, that's the main point. We'll get into it. Okay, this on the whole is why everyone seems to really hate Anthony Fontana.
Man, somebody tell that Fontana go yourself, suck a nigga.
And he's become a very divisive figure. He's had quite a few scandals. Drake fans also hate him. He lives in Kanye's and Drake's head rent-free. I promise I have sources and evidence of that. Post sources of evidence of that, please, for me. Anthony just overall throughout his career has gotten in a lot of scuffles for his opinions, which is completely fair. I feel like his biggest L was the way he treats Greta Van Fleet.
In this instance, it is the worst albums of the year. I have 10 of them here for you, and may God have mercy on your soul. My brain really wants to reject this album. As soon as I listen to it and I have any kind of experience with it, I'm just like immediately erasing it and just like freeing up that space for something else, most likely. I actually had to reacclimate myself to this record, unlike with some of these other albums.
I think we need to prop them up. I think they're great. All right, I think they're great. I think they're really good. I love Greta Van Fleet, but other than that, I love all kinds of music, and I'm one of the people who listens to some of Kanye's music. Like, let's go through my playlist here. Let's see, this is just some of the songs that I like. You guys can see I like a lot of stuff. I hear something and then I click on it. Recently, I've been listening to this. This Kanye song goes pretty hard because I like to do this. So I like a lot of different types of music, and I do listen to some Kanye, and I feel like I'm not part of the 3-tier group. I don't think, when I listen to Kanye, I don't think about how much I endorse Kanye. I just listen to the music because I like the way that it makes my stand on end. Not really. I like the way it makes me feel, because that's what music's about. It's the way you feel, really. It's not political, generally speaking, unless it's a political song, I guess. But like, I don't, even them, you can still just jam to some old propaganda, some Johnny Horton, you know, or Zach Bryan, Tyler Childers, T-Pain, Leonard Skinner, Nora Brown. I mean, come on, bud. I listen to all these types of music. Actually, you know what we'll do? Let's review Kanye's new album really quick. Cause I know somebody. Look, he changed his profile on Spotify to a goat. It's kind of cringe. All right, Vultures 1, here we go. I don't like it. Don't like it.
class is 15. Life flew past too fast.
Yeah, I don't like it. Okay, Carnival kind of goes hard, to be honest. I do like that one. Other than that, though, I'm not a big fan. Oh, I bet Ozzy's not happy. Is that Ozzy? Did he put Ozzy in the fucking song? I feel like Ozzy probably is not that happy being in the old anti-Semite track. I'm not a huge fan. 4 out of 10. I don't know. Carnival's is sort of an interesting song. Anyways, back to Anthony Fantano. Regardless of what this man said, it was at the top of the charts. It did really well. A lot of people love Kanye's music. And with this Kanye album, people are saying that he's a bit too soft because he said you cannot separate the art from the artist.
Now, there are some people who will say, Anthony, you're being unfair here. Separate the art from the artist. Come on now. You can't separate this crap from the music because it's in the music. Look at the lyrics. Read these words. They have meaning and they are saying things that are not good or normal. You would have to expect me to separate my brain from my skull if you think I'm just going to ignore it.
My brother in Christ, if we don't separate the art from the artist, then we don't have a lot of art. Artists are fucking freak weirdos. They're not normal people.
Hi, darling.
Someone has been in my room and taken my beers away from my room.
I don't think so, darling. Who would do that? Who could possibly do that? Who's the beer thief? You. You're the beer thief.
These aren't people who fit into society and are kind to their neighbors and are, you know, known for being excellent role models. These are people who exist in a plane, a dimension of just pure hedonism 99% of the time, and they're worshipped for things that come from their own brains. That's not like a recipe for that good of a person, to be honest. It's not necessarily their fault, really. It's kind of our fault, you know? It's society, man.
Get what you fucking deserve!
If you look back on the rock stars, the great rock stars of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, if you don't separate the art from the artist, you don't have a lot of artists. I mean, Led Zeppelin, for example. I love Led Zeppelin, but they're evil. I mean, like, let's be real. They did some evil shit. They're fucking, everyone's basically a pedophile. Seems like. He says for Kanye, it's impossible to separate the art from the artist because the art is indicative of his beliefs and thoughts because he has lyrics like this.
You can't separate this crap from the music because it's in the music. Look at the lyrics. Read these words. They have meaning and they are saying things that are not good or normal.
Crazy, bipolar, anti-Semite, and I'm still the king. Still the king. Still the hyphen hyphen. They thought headlines was my kryptonite. Still the king. Still the king. I'ma come through and just black out. Just black out. Keep a few Jews on the staff now. How I'm anti-Semitic. I just f***ed a Jewish bitch. I just f***ed Scooter's bitch and we ran her like Olympics. Okay, he's got a point a little bit there. But honestly, the first part, though, that's just what people are calling him. You know what I'm saying, my brothers in Christ? Is it just me? This doesn't even seem that really, like, that bad. Is that anti-Semitic? I feel like if I was a Jewish person, I wouldn't really care. I'd care more about the Hitler stuff, not necessarily the lyrics. I think I'd be able to separate the art from the artist. But I don't know, though. I'm not an empath. He also says that Kanye's song Paid is a hilarious, shittier version of a song called Fade. They have very similar flows, and the lyrics are pretting funny. It's just, I'm getting a bag, I'm being paid to be here. It makes sense.
The song Paid is one of the most unintentionally hilarious tracks I think Kanye has ever put out. It's just a crappier version of Fade. Why wouldn't you just listen to Fade? You'd have to be delusional to think anything else, especially with this trash-ass verse from Ye. And Ty Dolla $ign on it is just amazing, saying that he's just here to get paid. At least he's honest.
But then he goes on to say that he hates Back to Me because of this lyric.
Then Back to Me with that Jay and Silent Bob chorus has to be one of the dumbest things I've heard on any Kanye album ever. I feel like I'm being punked. But naked, beautiful, big titty bitches don't just fly into the sky, you know. At least Freddie Gibbs somehow made it flow, but yeah, that dude is as good as he is at rapping. He cannot save this track.
He says that it sounds like a better finished Donda 2, which I think that's another album by Kanye West.
But if you really want a general assessment of this thing, it sounds like a slightly more finished Donda 2.
And then he shits on Jesus is King, which angered even more Kanye fans because a lot of people love Jesus and also love Kanye.
Somehow Jesus is King had more songs on it that sounded more cohesive, well put together, which is saying something because that was previously Kanye's shortest, messiest, most unhinged and crappy record yet, and somehow this surpassed it.
And then the bombshell. This is Kanye's worst album yet. Honestly, I feel like that might really be the case. I've listened to all of them. This one doesn't really, it's not that hard. It doesn't go that good. Plus with like the anti, you know, I can see where he's coming from.
And at least in my mind has achieved the status of being Kanye's worst album. And given that the sequel tends to be a step down from the original in Kanye's case most of the time, the rest of the Vultures series from this point is not looking good. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
But the internet, on the other hand, very upset by this. A lot of people really like Kanye and they think Anthony's soft. And I can see that as well. CPT Cam 1434 said, "This feels more like a rant towards Kanye fans that have annoyed you from Twitter and your reaction to the album than any bit the actual album itself." I can see that too, because Anthony does spend a lot of time tweeting on Twitter. He spends a lot of time on Twitter. He's always tweeting. I mean, he tweets a lot. Holy shit. He's always arguing. And he's always getting really upset on Twitter. And here is one of the bars he liked from Sexy Red. "My name is Sexy Red. I ain't no singing ass bitch." He called it a breath of fresh air. And I quote, Lamau. Now that's a pretty good point, because that's not a very good lyric. That's not a very good bar, TBH. Then another fella said, "Imagine a world in which Fontano just stayed off Twitter entirely," implicating Kanye drama as something that only really exists on Twitter, which I can definitely see that. People care a lot more on Twitter, and there are some very just petty shit things that are always going on Twitter. People care way too much on there. But at the same time, you know, when a really famous guy starts talking about Hitler and stuff, it's like, okay. This is where things get really juicy, because people started calling Anthony a massive fucking hypocrite. You can't be a review channel and not just be a hypocrite to some point. People change, they evolve, their opinions, they change. So it makes sense. But Anthony has drawn a line in the sand, and he's opened himself up to a lot of criticism and a lot of internet people to point out things that he's done in his past, specifically reviews that he's made in his past, to kind of compare and contrast that to what he's doing now, the hill he's dying on now. For example, he reviewed back in 13 years ago, 2010, when I was making Borderlands modding reviews on YouTube, by the way, posting regularly. He reviewed a guy named Vic Varg, an album from this fellow, and this fellow was a convicted murderer, neo-Nazi, and a perpetrator of a hate crime against a Christian church. Dude's not that good of a guy. Anthony, in that video, says, "I don't care if he burned down some churches or murdered a guy or if he's racist."
Now, I don't give a shit if he burned down some churches. I don't care if he murdered a guy. I really don't care if he's racist. If he comes out with an album in the future that I find interesting, I will welcome it with open arms. But until then, right now, this thing is kind of boring.
He even says that if Varg puts out an interesting album in the future, he welcomes it. Very damning clip. But then there's important context. For one, the fact that it is 13, almost 14 years old, that's pretty bad. This is just like the tip, basically, like with a quick Google search of Anthony being a massive hypocrite. This is what people are latching onto mostly. It's more nuanced, because obviously no one stays the same over 14 years unless you have some kind of something wrong with your brain and you don't evolve, you don't change. Like you have the mental age of, I don't know how old Anthony was here, 7 to 8. You know, maybe he has like an 8-year-old. He was bald early, by the way. I mean, for example, dude, I was making fucking Borderlands mods, and then 2 years later, Minecraft mods. I've changed immensely. Look at me now. Yes, sir. Mustache got bigger. Motherfucker. It's pretty hard to remain the same after 14 years, especially someone who is consuming as much media and evolving as much and changing as much and, you know, being as opinionated as Anthony. He's not going to be the same. He's going to be a completely different guy. He also didn't like the album. He gave it a 4 out of 10. He called it uninteresting and unexciting.
If you like the music, then listen to the music. Who cares what he has to say? Who cares what he thinks? Who cares what he's done? Just listen to it. I'm feeling a strong 4 to a light 5 on this LP. Not exactly one of my favorites of this year, and clearly not one of my favorites in the black metal genre.
And then a little while later, he reviewed Vic Varg's next album. This is really important context, and said that he would no longer review any of his music because of his views.
So if you're racist, at least be open about it. Then I can say, hey, you know, that guy's racist. That's what he believes. I'll just leave him over there and avoid him.
So not that long after this 13-year-old gotcha, he talks about how he will try to avoid covering albums from racists in the future. That's pretty fair, man. It makes sense. It's tough. It makes sense. I really want to catch him in a massive hypocritical lie just because it's satisfying, but it doesn't seem like this is the case. It seems like he doesn't like Vik Varg. By the way, who the fuck's Vik Varg? He's a Norwegian guy who burned down a church in retaliation for Christian desecration of Viking graves.
Upon his arrest, police found over 150 kilograms of explosives in his flat that he shared with 2 other people. During his trial, which began on May the 2nd, 1994, Varg argued that he was acting in self-defense and that Oystein had attacked him first. But Varg's defense was wholly rejected by the jury, and testimonies from those close to Varg claimed it was methodically planned murder.
He also murdered a guitarist of another Norwegian band. Dude, honestly, kind of a piece of shit. So it makes sense that Anthony would make an edgy review in 13 years ago and then decide not to after realizing this guy's a massive piece of shit. So it seems like if we're going to rely on evidence from over a decade ago, it's not going to make a lot of sense, and it just seems like the dude has his own opinion. But at the same time, there is more evidence that we see on Twitter. I mentioned XQC reacting to him and giving him a bad review of his review, saying that or whatever the he said. It's this clip. Let's listen to it first, and then let's see Anthony's reaction.
It's not so bad. He's just a little crazy, that's all.
Chat,
Especially since...
Chat. When were these efforts, chat? When he was reviewing the albums and the things people were saying to rappers that kill people, dude? What do you think about the families that had dead people in it, right? When their guy says, yo, we blasted that fool in the head, 1 tap with the Draco, man. Pull up in that bitch, 1 tap that chest fucking head. What was that? How do you think their families feel like about him saying, guys, don't worry, guys, it's just a 1 kill, guys?
It sort of makes sense, right? Like morality in regard to anti-Semitism, but he's covered murderers like Vik Varg and also a guy named King Von.
For those of you who are interested, the King Von project, the posthumous one, it's out now. It's out now. If you're seeking it out, check it out.
Who is apparently rap's first serial killer. There's a documentary about that. Check that shit out. That's crazy.
King Von had a reputation in Chicago as a fearless killer before he'd even started rapping, and it's widely believed, based on the statements he made in his own songs, that Von himself could have killed as many as 7 people in his career as a gangbanger.
I mean, what? And there's some honestly pretty hardcore evidence there. Some pretty compelling points. But anyways, back to this. Pusha40, aka Anthony Fontoid, said, I just want to say this opinion, and anyone who boosts it is just endorsing open racism. XQC and non-idiots like this think that because I'm reviewing rappers, I must be reviewing murderers. Because rappers equal murderers. That's what they think. Rap music is inextricably tied to black history and black culture, and presuming rappers and rap music automatically represent a pro-murder point of view is just plain racism. If this idiot actually researched and looked through all the artists I reviewed, he'd see it's not a f***ing police lineup. But since that's what any rap music I'm probably reviewing represents in his mind, that's what he assumes. I don't know about that. I didn't really pull that from what XQC is saying. I don't really want to defend XQC, unfortunately, but it seems like I might be about to do that. I think that's misconstruing his words, to be honest. I mean, in my opinion, people are confused as well. One guy said, and why are you just assuming that all rappers are black people? Fontano said, that's the assumption XQC is jumping to. I don't think he is, to be honest. I don't think he is. I think he's jumping to the lyrics. Like, very clearly there are lyrics in some songs where people talk about murdering people. XQC is saying that it sucks to just really agree with XQC here, because it seems like he's just he's pointing out the double standard. You know, music is about feeling, whether it's negative or positive, it doesn't really matter. But when you're calling out morality, there is a lot of very immoral music. Like, if that's your basis,
that's a terrible. I don't chat.
73
guys, honestly, it's insane. This gets 19k likes. And you know what, dude? Guys, if this chat, all we're gonna do, chat, is just mischaracterize what everybody says, you know, I'm gonna give it a like. Guys, let me join the drones. Chat, guys, let me just join the drones, okay? Fuck it.
If we're going to bring up morality in songs, I mean, there's country music. There's a song called Psycho by this Kittle guy, and it's disturbing as shit. Outlaw country music is like, doesn't have to be immoral or moral, and the people don't like, it's separating the art from the artist. But anyways, guys, do you see what I'm saying? I'm you know, I don't know, I'm trying to be reasonable. People then pointed out that Anthony Fontoido has actually reviewed rappers who have been alleged murderers. And in my opinion, being a murderer is worse than being an anti-Semite, you know, because you're actually like murdering someone. And if you're like pro-murder, that's almost as bad as actually being a murderer. But being a murderer, sticks and stones, right? Am I just a fucking idiot? He reacted to King Von's music while live streaming, and we mentioned he is apparently rap's first serial killer. Please don't kill me, King Von. Even 1 minute ago, he reviewed 21 Savage's new album.
And it's time for a review of this 21 Savage album, American Dream. This is a brand new LP from Atlanta rapper 21 Savage, which also serves as the soundtrack for a new dramatization of his life starring Donald Glover.
And 21 Savage, we know, recently hoodwinked Aiden Ross, and also has been recorded about the multitude of murders that his gang has committed.
On this moment your whole life, so you can argue with a nigga on Clubhouse. You keep letting all these Chicago niggas boost your head up like y'all niggas ain't dying in real life, man. Stop playing.
That would be like if Sour Boys, my candy company that I love, was like murdering people, and then I was sort of bragging about that. That'd be bad, I feel like. Anthony also reviewed American Dream, which has a song called Red Rum, which is murder spelled backwards, with lyrics like, graveyard, that's where the ops stay. My Glock Gen 5 said, hey. That makes sense. Bad Gen of Glock, though, to be honest. Gen 3, I prefer. You get in the jam and you go pointing and blame. I ain't let it slide. I was sharpen and aim. So he's saying if you rat, then he'll kill you. Basically, which that's fair. That's hard, dude. That's hard. I like this kind of, this is cool. Maybe Kanye should start rapping about this kind of stuff, murdering people and whatnot, and quit being such an anti-Semite. No, dude. Don't, no. Just follow Jesus or whatever.
But yeah, overall American Dream, I think it's just okay. If you're comparing directly to recent solo or semi-solo releases like Savage Mode and like I Am Greater Than I Was, I think it's a step down, but not a big step down.
By the way, 21 Savage fun fact alert.
Kind of look like a bird, don't it? Like a beak right there, don't it? Like a dolphin or something.
He was expelled from school in 7th grade for bringing a gun and robbing people. This is purely just from the perspective of arguing about like morality. There is a lot of context, obviously. 21 Savage wasn't just like some random kid who's just murdering and killing people. We'll get into that in a little bit. So it seems like XQC has ground to stand on and Anthony has ground to stand on, and that he's just being opinionated because, you know, not all rappers have committed terrible crimes, but there are absolutely examples of things that are incredibly immoral, inarguably so, and that's like the double standard that people are pointing out. Do I really care? I don't give a but I'm gonna be honest, I'm on XQC's side here, unfortunately, and I don't think that I'm being racist. It's the perceived inconsistency that has upset the most people. People just mad, man. People just mad. People mad at Anthony for dying on a hill and hating Kanye and claiming it's like a moral disservice to even listen to the album, etc. It's unreviewable trash when he's reviewed stuff that's probably sonically worse and probably morally worse. That's what people are saying. It's inconsistency. And that all being said, I will agree with Anthony 100% about lumping all rap into the same thing. I mean, when rap first kind of started, it came out with NWA was one of the most influential. You've heard the songs. People said that NWA, when they were active from 1987 to 1991, that their music's explicit lyrics, their homophobia, their misogyny, and also the glorification of drugs and crime separate the art from the artist. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. The world's not a fucking perfect place. Some people grow up in areas where, you don't have a choice but to murder people and kill people and sell drugs, etc. It's just life. It's not what everybody wants, but it's some people are born into it. I don't know though. My hat looks stupid as shit, and I'm just a lover of all music, and I try to respect as much culture as I possibly can, regardless of what it is. To me, this all feels really fucking stupid. I'm gonna be honest. Most things that are outside of my circle of influence and what exists in my real world feel very stupid, and I only partake because it is quite literally my job. So thank you all for watching this episode of The Internet Hates Anthony Fontano. Hopefully we got to the bottom of it. Hopefully you thought I was unbiased and cool and slick and you want to join my club. All right. What do you think, by the way? Let me know what you think down below. Do you think Kanye deserves to be reviewed? I think he deserves to be reviewed. I think all music, anything, any art, you should be able to accept the negative emotions and let that influence your decisions. You should be able to review it, even objectively, review it objectively. Well, it's, this is a nice part here, but this is bad, and you just shit on it or whatever. What do you want to do? It doesn't matter to me. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.